Welcome back to my channel, guys! I am so excited to be back. I apologize for the low quality or no content whatsoever that I have had for the past couple weeks. I was having some technical difficulties with my memory card. I was only able to film very low quality and for only 30 seconds at a time, which is incredibly difficult. But it's fixed now and I'm so happy to be back. I have lots of new content coming your way, lots of new inspiration, and lots of helpful tips. So today I thought I'd talk to you about one of my most favorite garments, and that is the corset. I love corsets because not only do they give me great posture and a great silhouette, but they also help me get closer to the characters that, let's be real, they don't have human type or human shaped bodies, and corsets help me get closer to that body shape. I've been wearing corsets off and on since like 16, and I've made a lot of mistakes along the way. But today I thought I'd share with you everything that I have learned from professionals to making my own in a Corset 101 for cosplay. The biggest one is that you can't breathe in a corset, which is frankly a bit ridiculous because corsets shrink your waist, not your chest, and your lungs are in your chest, not your waist. So it's a little silly, but I understand where the myth came from. You get movies like Pirates of the Caribbean where they lace their corsets so tight that they can't breathe and they pass out. Well, that's actually not true. The reason, there's a couple reasons why that myth came to be. One is just scandalous, and it's a good plot device, I guess, for movies. Going back throughout the history of corsets, women tended to wear a lot of layers, especially the more wealthy, more prominent, affluent women. They wore a lot of layers, and when you get into hot, temperate zones, all those layers make you sweat a lot and they can give you heat stroke, and so sometimes ladies would pass out, not from the corset, but from the heat of all the layers, especially well-made corsets, which are made of like 3 layers of fabric. It's a lot of fabric, especially to be having on your torso. So that's one reason why women would faint and why that myth came to be. The second reason is it's believed that gas fixtures would leak and cause gas exposure, which would cause women to faint. And then lastly, the huge one is in Victorian times, it was not socially acceptable for a woman to be in close proximity to a man, especially a young unmarried woman. So ladies occasionally would use their fainting spells and corsets as a way to get close to gentlemen, a way to flirt. So, you know, if you fainted, oh, the man you happen to be in love with would come and rescue you and you know, put you on this chaise lounge where you would lay back beautifully and he would make sure you're okay and fan you. And so it was just a myth that got strung out for far too long. Lucy Corsetry is a huge pinnacle of the corset community here on the internet, and she has posted many articles, scientific articles, showing why the whole you can't breathe in corsets myth is not true. In fact, there was a German like doctor's TV show where they put a woman in an MRI wearing a corset and actually showed that the body, the lungs, do not get affected when you wear a corset. Or if it does, depending on the shape, it's so minimal that it's not going to harm you. You can find links for that under Lucy Corsetry's page. She has tons and tons of information about all of this, more than I could probably ever give you. The next myth is breaking bones in corsets, which is really silly. So corsets are made with boning in them, and the first corsets were made with whaling, which is boning from whale bones. And so sometimes those would snap. They could be very brittle, and if you push too hard on them, they could snap. So somewhere along the line, snapping a bone, breaking a bone, and your corset somehow must have shifted into breaking a bone while wearing a corset. The second reason why the myth that you can break your bones in corsets came to be is that people love to reference Victorian medicine, specifically diagrams where it shows that you can break your bones and that it does all this damage to your body. But Victorians didn't even believe in germ theory yet. They believed that women were just naturally crazy because they were inferior, and their diagrams are not anatomically correct, so they never actually studied how corsets actually affect the body. So anytime somebody references Victorian medicine, it doesn't count, sorry. Again, a corset does not affect your chest, it just affects your waist. In fact, there have been instances where people in the corset community have gotten into car accidents while wearing a corset, and if I remember correctly, they said that they would not have survived if it was not for wearing the corset. There was also another instance in a newspaper where a woman got shot by a man and survived because the bullet actually ricocheted off the steel boning in her corset and protected her. So, +1 for corsets. Next, I wanted to tackle what are some of the qualities that make a good corset. So the first quality is a strong cotton fabric like coutil or twill. They're generally made of 2 to 3 layers, though there are some single layer corsets that are very comfortable. That happens to be one of my favorites. They will be made to your exact measurements. Now you can get some online that are pre-made, but nothing fits quite as well as a custom or bespoke corset. You can tend to find corsets online that will say they have spiral steel and flat steel boning in them, which are vitally important for a good corset, or also occasionally they'll have synthetic whalebone, which is also just as good. But steel boning does a corset not make. A good corset, a real authentic corset, is all in the shaping and the patterning of the corset. So while places like Corset Story, Corset Terry, and places like that do technically sell corsets because they have all the attributes of a real corset, you know, a strong base fabric for the strength layer, steel boning, nice grommets. The shape is not really appropriate for anybody other than, say, someone with Twiggy's figure. There's not enough shaping in the hips to even fit a petite woman like me. Custom is really the way to go with a corset. However, they can be expensive. Most custom corsets generally start at $250, which is absolutely worth the money coming from somebody who makes corsets, because there's a lot of work that goes into it, and generally corsetiers will do 2 and 3 mock-ups to make sure it fits completely right, because a good corset will feel like a hug, not like a boa constrictor around your rib cage. So what companies show the bad qualities? Well, you have companies like Corset Story, where it is not very curvy, it is more tubular, and while these corsets are heavy, they're again made with scrap steel that has been rusted and has broken and hurt people. When you're looking for corsets online, you want to find a corset that when you look at the image, it's not just floating in a white background. This means that it's probably been photoshopped, and more importantly, you want to see the back of the corset. If you can see a picture of the back of the corset on the model, which is really key, on the model, and the lacing gap is parallel, and there's still curve in the corset, then you know it's probably a good corset. So some more examples of companies that don't do that are Corset Story, Corset Terry, which is also stealing actual corsetiers' images and passing it off as their own product and then selling just awful products. So avoid these two. Also avoid places like eBay and Amazon, who also sell not good corsets or not even real corsets. Sometimes they will sell things like plastic boned bustiers, which can also hurt you, especially if you try to lace them too tight. or, you know, do any sort of prolonged activity in them, because plastic bones can break on you as well. Now, these are not corsets. They are called fashion corsets, or plastic bone bodices, or lace-up bustiers, but not a corset. Not that these items aren't okay to wear. You can absolutely wear them, do whatever you want. Just know that it's not a corset, it's not going to shape your waist, it's not going to be suitable for waist training, and you can possibly hurt yourself. The next problem is fajas, like these. You'll see people like Kim Kardashian promoting these. These are really problematic because, again, the shape that you desire is not built into them, meaning this piece of spandex that you're wrapping too tightly around yourself is putting uneven pressure on places, which can cause bruising and swelling and all sorts of problems. The other problem is they say that, oh, this is going to help you lose weight and shape your waist. Well, while you will lose a little bit of weight, it's going to be water weight because you're sweating it out, and that's not going to stay off your waist. Whereas if you wear a properly shaped waist training corset for many years, many years, for many hours a day, daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, then you will start to see your waist slowly shaping to the corset. It works kind of like braces. Braces take many years to get your teeth in proper position. Well, same thing with a corset. And that's totally fine to do, because all it is over years, your body will place minerals on your bones in the shape of the corset. But at the end of the day, you can take your corset off and your body's going to go back, so it's not going to cause permanent damage. Lastly, what are some good places that you can find corsets? Well, luckily, Lucy, aka Bishonen Rancher, Lucy Corsetry, has an entire write-up on her blog about every place you can find corsets. I would highly recommend, if you have the money, say about $250 or more, then go with a custom. It'll change your life. It's going to be so beautiful and comfortable. It'll give you great posture, great shape. It'll make you feel good. It's a good custom is worth every penny. But if you can't, then I will link some other places down below that you can go for cheaper corsets, just to get you started to test the waters. I believe that's it. I hope this is pretty clear cut. I hope you guys learned a lot of information about corsets. If you have any other questions, feel free to hit me up on any of my social media platforms, which you can find in the description below. I am so glad to be back, you guys. I hope this was super informative, and I can't wait to see what we have coming up in the next couple weeks. I love you guys, and remember, cosplay is all about having fun, and I'll see you next week. Bye!